At first, I did not notice anything was wrong. Life was moving, days were passing, and everything looked normal from the outside. I was waking up, working, talking to people, smiling when needed. But inside me, something small had started to disappear. It was so quiet that I did not hear it leave. No noise, no warning, no clear moment where I could say, this is when it began. That is how it happens when something invisible is taken from you. You do not feel it like a shock. You feel it like slow fog. I trusted easily. I thought time would always be there. I thought my calm would never run out. I thought my confidence was strong enough to survive anything. I did not know someone or something was slowly taking what was mine. Not money, not things, but something far more valuable. My peace, my focus, my belief in myself. It happened through small moments. A message that came late at night and stayed in my mind longer than it should. A thought that made me doubt myself for no clear reason. A habit of overthinking that slowly became my normal state. I started giving my time to things that gave me nothing back. I started listening to voices that were not kind, not encouraging, not honest. Sometimes those voices came from people. Sometimes they came from my own mind, shaped by pressure, comparison, and fear. I did not argue with them. I did not stop them. I let them sit with me. And little by little, they took something every day. 1 hour of peace. 1 moment of confidence. 1 small piece of hope. I did not feel robbed. I just felt tired. Soon I noticed I was always in a rush, but never really moving forward. My days were full, but my heart felt empty. I was busy, but not fulfilled. I was trying, but not believing. I stopped enjoying silence, because silence made me think too much. I stopped enjoying rest, because rest made me feel guilty. I started measuring myself through other people's lives, their success, their happiness, their progress, and every time I did that, something else was taken from me. My self-respect, my patience, my ability to be proud of where I was. I kept telling myself it was normal. Everyone feels this way, I thought. Everyone struggles, I said. But deep down, I knew something was off. I was losing myself slowly, and I was letting it happen. My body felt it before my mind accepted it. I was always tired. Even after sleep, I was distracted. Even when nothing was happening, I would sit with people but feel far away. I would start tasks but leave them unfinished. My confidence, which once felt natural, now felt forced. I questioned my decisions, my words, even my worth. I replayed old mistakes in my head as if they were happening again. I worried about things that had not even happened. I lived more in fear of the future than in the present moment. And still, I did not stop to ask the most important question. Who is taking all of this from me? The answer was not a single person. It was not one clear enemy. It was a mix of habits, expectations, pressure, and silence. It was me giving access to my mind without setting limits. It was me saying yes when I should have said no. It was me holding on to things that were already hurting me. It was me waiting for validation instead of trusting my own voice. The arrest was happening quietly. My peace was being taken without resistance. My time was being spent without purpose. My confidence was being drained without a fight. And the hardest part was realizing that I had allowed it. The moment I truly noticed, the loss was one ordinary day. Nothing dramatic happened. No argument. No breakdown. I was sitting alone, doing nothing special, and I felt empty in a way I could not explain. Not sad, not angry, just hollow. I tried to remember the last time I felt calm without forcing it. I could not. I tried to remember the last time I trusted myself fully. I struggled. That scared me more than anything else, because it meant I had been gone for a while even though my body was still here. That was the moment I understood. Something had been taken from me, and if I stayed silent it would take even more. That day, I decided the arrest would stop. Not with anger, not with blame, but with awareness. I started by being honest with myself. I admitted that I was exhausted from carrying things that were never mine to carry. I admitted that I was chasing approval instead of peace. I admitted that I had ignored my own needs for too long. This honesty was uncomfortable. It made me feel weak at first, but it also made me feel real. For the first time in a long while, I felt present. I felt like I was finally looking at the truth instead of running from it. Taking control back was not loud or fast. It was slow and quiet. I started protecting my time. I stopped answering everything immediately. I stopped explaining myself to people who did not listen anyway. I allowed myself to rest without feeling guilty. I reduced the noise around me. Less comparison, less scrolling, less negative talk. I began speaking to myself with kindness, even when I failed, especially when I failed. I reminded myself that growth does not need punishment. It needs patience. I also learned to let go of expectations that were never realistic. Let go of people who only showed up when it was convenient for them. Let go of the idea that I had to prove my worth to be valued. This was not easy. Letting go felt like loss at first, but later it felt like relief. Every time I released something heavy, I felt lighter. Every time I chose myself, I felt stronger. Slowly my peace started coming back. Not all at once, but enough to notice. My confidence did not return as loud confidence. Trust in my decisions. Trust in my pace. Trust in my journey. I stopped rushing because I realized I was not late. I stopped comparing because I realized everyone is carrying a different story. I stopped doubting my value because I understood that my worth was never missing. It was just buried under fear and noise. The arrest was complete. Not of a person, but of a pattern that no longer had permission to take from me. Today, I still have challenges. I still have moments of doubt, but now I notice them early. I do not let them stay too long. I check in with myself. I ask what I need. I listen to my inner voice again. And most importantly, I protect what is invisible but precious. My peace, my time, my confidence, my hope. These things are mine, and anyone or anything that tries to take them without care no longer has access. This story is not about blame. It is about awareness. It is about understanding that sometimes the biggest loss does not come from a big event. It comes from small daily neglect. And the strongest power you can have is the moment you decide to stop it. The moment you say enough. The moment you take control back. That is the real arrest. And once it happens, you finally start living again. After that realization, life did not suddenly become perfect. I want to be honest about that. Peace does not arrive like a surprise gift at your door. It comes back slowly, like someone returning home after being away for a long time. Some days I felt strong and clear. Other days, the old weight tried to return. But the difference was this. I noticed it now. I no longer ignored the signs. When my chest felt heavy, I paused. When my mind started racing, I slowed down. When something drained me, I stepped back. It was not dramatic. It was quiet, steady, and real. I was learning how to stay present with myself again, and that alone changed everything. I began to see how much of my life I had lived on autopilot. Wake up, Scroll, work, worry, repeat. My thoughts were rarely my own. They were shaped by expectations, pressure, and fear of falling behind. I realized how often I compared my behind the scenes to other people's highlights. Every comparison had taken a small piece of my joy. I had allowed invisible rules to control me. I must always be productive. I must always be available. I must always be strong. These rules were never spoken, but they ruled my life. And breaking them felt scary at first. Saying no felt wrong. Resting felt lazy. Choosing myself felt selfish. But slowly I learned that these feelings were not truth. They were habits. And habits can be changed. I started making small promises to myself and keeping them. Not big promises. Not life-changing goals. Just simple things. I promised to sleep when my body asked for rest. I promised to stop replaying conversations that were already over. I promised to take breaks without checking my phone every minute. Every promise I kept rebuilt a little trust inside me. I had broken my own trust so many times before by ignoring my needs. Now I was repairing that relationship. And that